Welcome to Drum and Drummer, a podcast focused on drums, drumming and drummers. I'm George Pickering and that's Ben Winty, and we are both professional drummers in this business we call music. So stick around and join us as we pass the time whilst trying to stay in time.
Always try to buy something with a little bit of equity in it, and bundling items is where you're going to get your equity usually the best, the quickest, the easiest.
Rock and roll, baby.
Rock and roll, baby.
Rock and roll, baby. Rock and roll, Georgie. How are you doing?
Good. You?
Yeah, fine. Yeah, pretty good actually. I've spent pretty much the whole day recording drums in Little Piggy.
Oh, cool. Never know what you're going to say nowadays because, of late you've been like, this is all I've done today. It's mental, just waiting for my partner, my wife to get home, She's doing a real job and all I've done is played a drum cover on Instagram, which got some good traction.
It did. Yeah, let's talk.
Matt Brooks posted it.
That. Yeah. So I did hopefully you've seen it. If not, follow us on Instagram. Drum and Drummer, Little Piggy and myself, Winto. Follow George as well. Give him a shout,
If you want.
He'll often put a picture of a pigeon eating some bread out of his hand. That's why you are where you are, No,
that was on my other account. I won't put that on my drum account,
Maybe you should.
So,
maybe
I should. Maybe that would help more, Because I don't promote myself enough,
No.
But
I was going to say, so you put up the other day a little clip of you playing with the 80s hi-fi, right? Great.
Yeah, I know. Do you know what it is? This is genuinely what it is. I'll tell you what it is. It's
a pain,
I've been busier this year than ever, and this isn't me bigging myself up in any way, but it's kind of like I don't have that like thing to be like, fuck, I need more. If anything, I'm like, I don't want less. I don't want less gigs. Never want less gigs. But it's like it's all going quite well, So yeah, I've been doing bits. I just haven't posted anything. But I keep saying I need to post. I want to do a good post about the Laney thing because that has been cool. And just do like, here's all the crowd shots of the year. And then when the winter comes in and I am gigging a little bit less, then I'll start posting some more stuff because it's lets people know you're still doing it. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
There's nothing worse than seeing someone's post and it's like, hey guys, just to let you know, I'm still playing drums. If anyone wants to hire me, you're like, no, don't say that. Don't say that. Like it looks desperate,
You've just said I'm not very busy.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
No, but I totally get it, right? Because I had this issue with the blacksmiths. I was pretty bad at, social media with blacksmiths.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, again, I'm not blowing my own trombone, George. I'm not blowing it.
No.
I'm just too busy. I'm too busy.
Yeah.
To film the content while I'm actually tracking a band because that's hard enough as it is, and then to let alone have the time to then create a social media post about it. But what I'm trying to do with a renewed sense of vigor and life, is be more proactive with myself and especially Little Piggy. I kind of got this, while I'm doing a similar thing, I've got this new shiny product, this new shiny space, and it's exciting. And so I'm trying not to let that down. And I did, you were banging on about Where Is My Husband by Ray. And I agree, cracking tune. Yeah. And it is, that's all I see now on Instagram. It's Paddy McGuinness doing the rap on Radio 2. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
even Rock did it as well.
Yeah. So I thought this is a great tune. I'm going to do a little drum cover. And I used it as a experiment to be able to get the technical flow of how I can record myself playing drums. Because, I've got the live room and the control room, yada, yada, yada. Technical's technical. That sort of thing. So did a cover. And I thought, drums are great. I'm just going to treat it a bit more, what would I do? And nay, for better nor worse, this is just how I'd do it. And Matt Brooks himself, I think put it on his stories maybe, or even, but he commented as well. Something like, great job. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Matt Brooks saying, what a superb job I'm doing.
Yeah. So, jot that down if you, and then what you do is then you go and watch live footage of them playing it and you go, well, I can't play that because that is so good. Like, it's drumming, you're like, you think, I've done a good job. And then you go, fucking hell, no. The original is amazing. Anyway, but going on from that, I've been, like you're saying, my wife, she's off to work doing a proper job. And I'm like, she come home, how was your day? Like, yeah, I did a drum cover and I put it on, I filmed it.
Like a
You know.
14-year-old boy. Yeah.
Yeah. Has that brought any money to the house? Is it going to pay the mortgage? No, it's not, but don't worry about that.
Yeah, but as we found out the other day, your mortgage is exactly the same amount, pretty much, as my studio flat in Brighton. Do you know what I mean? So, you could talk about mortgages till the cows come home,
Thank you, London property prices.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, I put on the post. I said I was, want to do more of these, just more of these. Just come out and wave. Any suggestions? And shout out to Paul Butler, Tubby Bum Bum, little Tubby Bum Bum. He said "Fearless" by President, and we've talked about President. It's a great tune, and I was like, yeah, bang up for that. Now with the Ray one, I sort of got it done in an afternoon. President's taken me a lot longer to. I sent him a picture of my chart and just put twat.
Yeah.
Again, it's like, and this is the thing, right? So there's, can I play exactly as the original? Probably not without a lot of work, right? I haven't done a lot of double kick for a while, and there's just certain things where you're like, to nail that without studio trickery. And I'm not saying there is studio trickery, but I would quite like these to be unedited one takes, whether that's take 4 or take 28. I'm not bothered. So at some point, I think I don't want that to stifle me. I don't want to be like, that's okay, I can't do this, or I'm not going to do it, or make it too hard or too much, too time consuming. So again, I am approaching that a bit more like, what has the drummer done? But then what maybe would I do a bit more naturally to me as a drummer? If that makes sense. And you could look at that in one way and go, well, I'm just making it easier for myself. And yes, I might be doing that. So it's just taking, a little bit more time, because there's definitely like the outro. It's like what the drums does. Yeah, it definitely needs to do that to match the guitars. But that all said, it's fucking fun to play along to. Really good. And what I'll do is after, because we've got a guest on today, after I will explain a little bit of how I'm going about doing that, because I want to do it very quickly, efficiently, and I found a method that's working for me using an app and some AI trickery. So I'll talk about that, because for me it's quite interesting anyway. But yes, we have a guest. So as people are well aware, I went to Las Vegas a few weeks ago. I got married. Where is my husband? He's right here.
Yeah.
That's
Ben's talking about himself. He hasn't married a man.
No, I know. I am the husband. Yeah.
Here's Greg.
So say hello to Jeffrey.
Don't use my dad's name.
Is that your dad's name?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Big Jeff.
With
Big
a
Jeff.
J. With a J. You always want to say with a J.
Yeah.
None of that GEO.
JP.
That's near enough my
Your dad's
name.
JP. Your dad's Jurassic Park. I'm calling him Jurassic Park from now on.
Yeah, and I'm GP, like a general practice, doctor.
Yeah. There we go.
So, lots to think about there. Initials.
Yeah. BW. Cheers. So, yes, went to Las Vegas and went to the Las Vegas drum room. Met Rudy. He showed me his incredible drum collection. I've talked about this on the show before. I thought, ruddy hell, let's get him on the show.
Rudy hell.
Rudy.
Get him on the show.
I can't believe I missed that. Thank you, George. That's why you're here. That's why you're here. You did another
Just
joke
drop
the
a
other
D.
week.
Yeah, I know it did.
Yeah.
What was it? I can't remember. It was the title, wasn't it? Anyway, let's not get bogged down in all the funny things I've said of late.
Yeah, because it will take forever to get through them. Anyway, so Rudy's joining us all the way from Las Vegas, on Zoom, obviously. And so, we talk about his drum collection, and he's got some incredible stories about it all. It's great. Enjoy. Here's Rudy from the Las Vegas drum room.
It was the Yamaha Specifica.
I mean, let's go back to kind of the beginning of the drum room. And
okay,
when did you? Because you told me about building that space and
right,
some of the issues you had. So when was it apparent that was something you wanted to do? That you wanted to build this kind of separate room to house everything?
Well, we moved from California to here in Vegas at the end of 2008. And the idea was I wanted to do a drum show one day, but more importantly, and at the top of the list was having a space where I could build a drum room. So, we looked at a variety of different houses, and most of them weren't really set up for that. Maybe they had a casita in the back, maybe they didn't, maybe they had a bonus room or something like that. But it's never ideal, right? At minimum, it's going to be too small. Eventually, when you start buying more stuff that you shouldn't be buying, it becomes too small. So then we started looking for homes that maybe had some space in the backyard that we could build something. So we just pulled the trigger on this house, and there was a quarter in the back of it's a half-acre lot, and there was a little bit space in the back where there was a volleyball court prior, a sand volleyball court. Previous owner did that. So I said, well, this is where we're gonna put it. So we had to take a few steps back because there were some soil issues and things like that, too soft with the sand. There was actually 2 feet of sand that the guy had replaced from dirt. So we had to get all that out, and then the construction started. And then pulled a permit late 2015, and then started in January with concrete of 2016. So I went ahead and I was the general contractor on that, owner builder, I guess. I went and found my own subs. That's all that means. I'm not a contractor. So I went out, found a concrete guy. The concrete guy told me about a framer, and it went on from there. So around April, May of 2016, it was finally done. And then I had all these drums inside my house. So I finally moved them in here, and I just put them on the ground. Where else was I going to put them? I didn't have any shelving or anything like that. So then I'm not one that likes to drill a lot of holes in the walls until I know 110% sure that that's going to be the final resting place for that fastener, So I had everything on the ground, and then shortly after that, I discovered Instagram. And then that's when everything took off. People started noticing me. I started noticing other people. And then, people started coming around locally at first. And one of the things I used to do is I used to go through Instagram, like all the Las Vegas Instagram drummers. And I used to make lists of all these people, 20, 30 people at a time. And then I would have little meet and greets here at the drum room. I would make food, I'd make tacos, I'd barbecue, make hamburgers, hot dogs, and I invite, 20 or 30 people that I never met in my life. Most people aren't going to do that. But I know they're all drummers, and chances are they know each other, but I don't know them because they all work together, they all sub for each other, things like that. So I would get a bunch of people to come over, and then they would follow me on Instagram, take photos, spread the word, that type of thing. And then about another maybe 3 or 4 months later, I would do the same thing. And then word caught on, and then other people would come from other places like yourself who wanted to ask for a tour, and I would do that. And then it just kind of went on and on. I would buy more drums, and I started displaying things, started putting them more in a more of a permanent position, things like that. That was 2016 onward. Fast forward, then the drum show started, the first drum show in 2022. So I use the drum room as a way to promote and bring awareness to the drum show at the same time.
I mean, it's compared to like what we'd see in England, especially. I mean, the space you had, it's George. I can't tell you how big this space.
Yeah,
I showed you.
Describe it to me.
Yeah, I showed you all the pictures.
The square footage is 1320 square feet, and the ceiling is 14 feet, which I probably wouldn't do that again because I painted that.
I mean, you've got to have space for a couple of gongs on the wall. I think that's
a couple, which exactly I got two. So one of those I bought a while back from one of these Kiss tribute bands. The drummer sold it to me, and I had that on. I made my own stand out of Gibraltar tubing and racking, and then I said, well, this thing is getting in the way because every time I move it, I have to move that thing. So I finally threw it up on the wall a few months ago, and the other gong, the Peisty one, that belonged to Jeff Ochiltree. So I bought that from a neighbor of his that acquired it from Jeff. So now they're both on there. We'll see. Some things I don't really actively look for. They just come across here and there in opportunities, and then I'll either keep it or I'll move it on to somebody else.
You mentioned to me that when you were collecting all your drum, starting to build your sort of collection, you were doing a lot on Craigslist, that you kind of got a bit addicted to searching
Right.
for drum gear. Before you built the drum room, was that something you were actively doing at that time before you had the space? Had you already
A
started
little bit,
collecting?
a little bit, yes. That's why I had rooms and I had drums in every room in the house. I had one spare bedroom, which was the drum room, right? I had stuff everywhere. The thing is, when people will come to visit, because we always have people, family and friends that come to visit, and for some reason they always want to. There's 8 trillion, hotel rooms in town, but everyone always wants to stay with us, which I don't mind. But the thing was, I had to move everything out of the way to throw down some air mattresses for people to sleep on. So that room was full, and then it was the closets, and then the hallways and the master bedroom and the master closet. And my wife is so supportive. She's like, "Well, put it in the master bed. Who's going to tell you that? And put it in the master closet." I got to a point where it was no longer a lot of fun, owning all these things, especially when you're not playing them and you're just needing a space to store them. So I said, I either need to sell this stuff and downsize and go to some other hobby, or I have to build a room and get the stuff out of here. So it took probably a good 7 years until I got myself in gear and did the research and started going through the permits. And when you're doing everything yourself, it takes a lot longer versus calling up a general contractor and paying them 35 to 40% more to do the work and say, just do it and write them a check and you're done. So it takes more time, but the satisfaction is a lot more later on. Not at the time, but later on. So I came from California here with 2 violins and 3 snare drums. That was it in 2008, December of 08. Then I started buying more stuff, and yes, got them from Craigslist. People say, "Well, where do you find your drums?" A little bit of everywhere. Word of mouth, people that reach out to me. I didn't do a lot of marketplace back then. I just did Craigslist, and that was it. And then one thing I would do is I would place ads in the local free newspaper that would come. It wasn't free for me to advertise. It was about $37, $38 or so and it came out once a week for 4 weeks. But I would put on there, and the key was always putting your ad in a section that was not the musical instrument section. I always put the ads in the wanted section, where people are asking wanted guns, gold, cash for that kind of thing. So I put because that's where you're going to find these people who are either pickers or they buy storage units. And whatever they have, now they're looking for someone to offload this stuff as quick as they can. And people would call me. These newspapers, it didn't come to your house. You had to go to the supermarket. So that was a downside to pick these things up, these free papers from the gas station, And then the thing is, those people, they want basically someone to come to their house and give them money for what they have. They're not big into researching. They may not be big into computers. They're not going to throw everything in the back of their car and go to Guitar Center and say, how much do you give me for it? So by doing that, you're not really competing with other people for something that's advertised like eBay or Reverb, because now you're bidding against it's you against the world, and the one with the most money is going to win.
You had some pretty amazing stories of like where you got things, and
yeah, I remember a lot of where I got things, and some things, especially with the Bell Bronze drums, a lot of those were bundled deals. I mean, I bought probably 7 or 8 drums from one person out of Chicago, because they want to sell it quicker. They don't want to deal with onesie twosie people coming to their house, all that kind of thing. And they just do one, and in the bundle price, it usually benefits hopefully the buyer a little bit. So the idea is, when you buy something, at least for me, is try to buy it at a price, whatever that price is, where you have a little bit of equity built in. Okay, to where if you had to sell that drum 30 days later, because you have to buy food, you got to pay your rent, whatever, you can sell it, and at least, worst case scenario, get your money back. Always try to buy something with a little bit of equity in it, and bundling items is where you're going to get your equity usually the best, the quickest, the easiest.
What is it that's so exciting to you to collect drums?
Finding the drums. once you have it, okay, that's great. But I don't play. I got a lot of stuff in here, so I don't play a whole ton. So it's finding it, especially if you know of it already. You know of it, this that. You kind of have an idea, and the more you read, and the more you look, and the more you just immerse yourself in this, you walk up to something and you're kind of already familiar with it. Okay, it's this particular color. Yes, they made those colors, and you can tell, like on a like say a 60s Gretsch drum, right? It's a sparkle or a cut glass glitter. You can tell usually by looking at it if it's a rewrap or if it's not. A rewrap is going to be very, very shiny, almost glossy. It's very, very smooth. It's like glass, right? On an original finish, that's going to be more of like an orange peel finish when you see on a drum like that. Same thing with the 60s Ludwig snare that's wrapped. They didn't. So Gretsch, they would have their wrap like this, and then they would overlap it like a seam, and they glue it down. Okay. In the 60s with Ludwig's drums, they didn't do that. They did a scarf joint. So that wrap is actually placed into the wood before the wood is glued down. So you have the top of the wood, the shell right here, and there's that wrap that is going in here at an angle. Okay. That's authentic. That's real. The only time it wouldn't be is if somebody removed that wrap and they rewrapped it, and you can still see that original piece wedged into the joint. Then it's not real at that point. But yeah, finding the drums, finding it, where you went to get it, how you found it, what other stuff came with it. Is it just the drum? Is it the whole kit? The best time is when you find a complete vintage kit, and the most exciting part is that case, that huge fiber case that's about 3 feet tall, about this wide, with 4 wheels, very bulky, always beat up. Once you buy it, you don't want to own it because it gets in the way, that kind of thing. But that's where all the symbols are in there, and the hardware. And then there's that they always have this removable shelf bucket on top for all the small parts, drumsticks, spare drum keys, things like that. And you start sifting through there, and that's where you find your vintage drum key. And you never know what's at the bottom of that case. It's so amazing, because that's where you find some crazy stuff. I mean, the wildest thing I found in there was I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. It was a blue Ludwig kit, and the kit belonged to the guy's grandfather. The guy's grandfather, World War I, World War II. Okay, there's an army bayonet in there from an M16.
Wow.
And it looks like it'd been well used. I take that thing out and I was like, wow. And you never know. Is that a place where, husbands hide stuff they don't want other family members to see because they know they're never going to look in there? You never know with these. There's all other things that are not related to percussion in any way, shape, or form. So that's kind of the exciting part is all the things that you find, later on.
Is there anything that you're yet to find that you really want?
Oh yeah, there's a few items. I'm a fan of Gretsch drums, the ones from the 60s. So I've had a few kits here and there, and unfortunately I made decisions to sell them when I was younger. But a nice 2012-14 matching snare kit, or 18-12-14 matching snare would be nice. That would be the keeper of some to keep that kit, for long term. I think it would be nice. I have a 18-12-14 from the 70s and one from 84, but nothing from the 60s. As far as snare drums, gosh, the Bell Bronze ones, the Tama, the 1980 Tama Bell Bronze. Correct term is actually Bell Bronze, 5x14. I had an opportunity to buy that, and I made a grave mistake by not doing so when I had the opportunity. So now you see these drums and the prices are outrageous. They're ridiculous. I don't agree with them. I would never pay that. I mean, you basically you price out 99.9% of the drummers on the planet with the cost of these 1980 and even early mid 80s Tama Bell brass snares. But that's one of them. They made the 6.5. I have 2 of those, so I'm missing the 5x14. And then as far as anything other than that, Slingerland, the 1928 Slingerland Black Beauty. That's I'm not a big Slingerland fan beyond the 30s. I think their prime time, their heyday was the 20s and 30s snares. I have a 39 Gene Krupa Radio King, which is great. And then they went into the 40s. Radio Kings are fine. And then 50s, 60s, a lot of them kind of evolved later on. But the real art pieces, I guess, are from the 20s and 30s. And for me, in my opinion, ask somebody else, I'll give you a different opinion. For Slingerland. But the 1928 Black Beauty, that was the first time that the Black Beauty name was used. Was in 1928. It wasn't by Ludwig.
Okay.
Ludwig called them the orchestral models, or excuse me, not orchestral. I was wrong. Ornamental models, because of the engraving they had, and I have two of those, which are beautiful drums. But I like the one from the Slingerland, and they made two sizes of that, and they're very rare. I think there's like 14, 15 around that if people have posted photos of or know to exist. So how many they make, who knows?
I mean, you mentioned the Tama Bell Bronze. I mean that little corner, like that little kind of cutout section of your room. You say, there's these big boys that make you look small time. I mean, I was really proud of my 10 snare drums, on my little rack in my studio, and you had a whole section of just kind of like brass snares. And a couple of things I really remember was the Tama Bell Brass, like, you had two of them from the 80s, but then you had like a reissue model.
Yeah, I have
you believed was
50th anniversary reissue.
Which you said, I think you said to me, like, you preferred that reissue.
I think it's probably construction-wise, I think it's probably a better drum. The ones from the 1980, it's all molten metal that they put in, sand cast, and you put the metal in there and it settles, right? Just like you're pouring a concrete foundation. Right, you put the concrete in, and the weight of the concrete causes everything to settle, but you're still going to have air pockets, right, within there if you do it by that method. On the new ones, they pour the metal in, but then they spin it. So that centrifugal force, that's what drives out all the air. So I think you're going to get I'm no engineer, and I'm sure there's going to be the comment section of people that watch this video that telling me that I'm wrong, and maybe I am. But you get all that air out now that mass inside is closed. It's a lot more solid. I think you're going to get a more solid drum. And the hardware is fantastic. It looks just like the one from 1980, the roller mechanism for the throw off, the coffin lugs, the center coffin lugs in the middle, the die cast hoops, all that is the same. I think that's an excellent alternative to trying to find the real thing. If you're finding the real thing at that point, it's because you just want that. You just want that. But if you want something similar, maybe better, it sounds fantastic for a fraction of what you're going to pay for. I mean, the new ones are what, 30 in the U.S. States, $39.99 U.S. plus tax. Versus, there's a drum right now on Reverb. It's not a 1980 Tama Bell Bronze. It's one from probably 82, 83, 84 with the longer lugs on it. Beautiful snare. And it started out at like $24,000, then it's $20,000. And I'm like, well, how much is mine? I don't know. Yeah, and there was a few that I let go for $8,000 or $10,000, probably 4 or 5 years ago, because I'm like, I'm not going to pay $10,000 for, but boy, I should have. Now I know. Hindsight is always 20/20, always. So get yourself the one for $4,000, you'll be just as happy. And that's an heirloom snare, and you can keep it for the rest of your life. Pass it down to your kids. I mean, somebody will always want that drum, always.
Have you got any particular drum or kit in mind that like maybe has increased the value the most, maybe, or kind of what's the most you've paid for something, or any sort of real bargains you've had?
Well, the bargains was the one you saw here, was that 1960 to 62 Rogers Mardi Gras kit that I found at Guitar Center back in 2015. That was kind of a barn find inside of a modern music store. That was brought in from a granddaughter who it belonged to her grandfather, and he had passed away. The Guitar Center gave her $300 for the kit. And then she came in on a Friday night. I was alerted to this kit the following day by a friend of mine, and I walked into Guitar Center, and there it was, and the price was going to be $599 plus tax. They just basically doubled. I'm like, where are the cymbals? There's cymbals in here. I didn't care about the cymbals, right? I'm not going to chase down cymbals that I probably already have in my collection. So I went ahead and bought the kit on site. And because I'm looking through there, I'm like, there's at least $600 worth of metal on this drum set. So I'm talking to the person in the drum department there, and I asked him, what's the history on this? And he told me the granddaughter came in last night, belonged to her father, and what they paid. And I said, okay. So I bought it right there, and I waited for them to actually take it into the back of the shop. I didn't want any other people messing with it, handling it, things like that. So it operates just like a pawn shop does here in Las Vegas. You have to wait 30 days. They cannot release the gear until 30 days after they acquire it. So in case somebody calls in and says, that's mine, and it has to go back to their ownership. So that wasn't the case with this. I waited 30 days. I picked up the kit. I came home. I posted it up on drumforum.org, and I had 50 responses in 24 hours of people saying, oh, great kit. Love that kit. Is it for sale? All kinds of questions. And then one guy said, hey, Rudy, does the bottom of the 16 head drum floor tom have this head on it? And I said, yes. And he goes, does the bottom of the 8x12 have this head on it? A make and model, everything. I said, yes. And he goes, that used to be my kit. I sold it 5 years ago to an old timer in Vegas on eBay for $3,500. So, and the kit was clean. The kit was clean, and he did a lot of cleaning work. I thanked him for doing all the work that I would have had to have done otherwise. And I've had that kit now for 10 years. It's a great kit. People play it. I have it set up here in the room for people to play.
What was the finish on it called?
Mardi Gras. Mardi
Yeah.
Gras finish. It's like there's like little squares of different colors, like confetti. Another name is confetti. Slingerland had something similar. Gretsch had a reissue for them about.
I was holding this up for George. Is that one, George? Remember I showed you that one?
Yeah,
Oh,
that one there.
lovely.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's a 2012 16 matching snare. The snare is designed to float off of the bass drum. There's a bracket that suspends the snare. I don't use it like that. I just use a regular. I don't like things that suspend that people put their weight on. Yeah. But so I have that with a few cymbals. I have a set of A Zildjian 1940s hi-hats that are on there that sound fantastic. And that's set up in that same area where all the Bell Bronze snares are. And I have my signage in the back and all that stuff. And that's where people sit down and they play and they take photos. That's like the photo section that people like the photo op,
Are there things that you'll just never ever sell?
I don't know about never ever sell, because I'm 53 and I'm not gonna. You never know when you're gonna go, right? And I definitely don't want to leave all this stuff for my family to have to deal with, right? So, but things that I would try to hold on as long as I possibly can, and all that depends on health over the years, is probably going to be the Bell Bronze snares. Maybe a few other the Bell Bronze. I have I have 7 of the Peisty Jeff Ochiltree snares that people like, and I don't need 7. I probably need like 1, if that. So I'll keep maybe 1 and move some of the others later on. I don't know. I have a 2009 Ludwig Triumphal 24 karat gold plated snare drum. That was a reissue. So back in the 20s, mid 20s, Ludwig made these. That's it. Yeah, back in the 20s, Ludwig made these special
George.
snares.
Yeah,
they made
like from Indiana Jones, like where he's trying to.
You're right. Yeah. Ludwig made these snares back in the mid 20s for certain people. A lot of times, actors, celebrities, things like that. There were heirloom drums. They made them for certain family members, things like that, and they were basically engraved drums with plated in gold. And then they only made that in the 20s, and that was pretty much it. Like one of the top end collectors, Mike Corrado, up in Northern California, he has he has multiples of these drums. But that's what he focuses on, and I mean that's a pretty good retirement, plan right there if you can get them for a good price. And then for the 100th anniversary in 2009, they did a reissue of these snare drums. So that one I have behind an acrylic case with a little LED strip light around on it. So it kind of, makes it pop. And people like seeing that, So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to end up with or not end up with, or, now I'm at a point where I need to start documenting everything, really, really, really well. And when I mean by that, I'm talking about having a binder where you create a profile sheet for every drum. That profile sheet has certain information in there, what it is, model, is it a limited edition? Is there a certificate? Do I have a certificate? Where does Rudy keep a certificate? What I paid for it and when, what my value, what do I think the value is going to be 10, 20, 25, 30 years. This is for family to figure it out. Because if something is worth $20,000 and some collector comes in and says, I'll give you $250, okay, they're going to be like, no, my dad really thought that this was, what they end up giving it to him for. I don't know. I'm not going to care. I'm not going to be around. Right.
It's a lot of car trips to Guitar Center.
Right. And anything that's special about that particular drum, and then a photo of that drum with a number, like an inventory number, and then a tag on the drum with that same number. So they can say, okay, pull a snare. Okay, this is tag number 001. You go to the binder. Okay, 001. There's a picture of that same drum, and it's all laid out. Not only is that good for if something happens to me and somebody else has to deal with it, but also in case of insurance, in case of fire, things like that. You don't keep that binder in the drum room. You keep that binder somewhere else.
I was just going to ask, like, how you insure stuff.
In my case, I don't have to have, well, my particular policy, I don't have to have a specific policy just for this. It's known to the insurance company that I have a room with a musical instrument collection, and it falls under I don't know how they call it, but it's included in the what I pay every year for homeowners insurance. Yeah. So I don't have to have everything separate. And you don't want that, because if you come across an insurance company that says we need to have an appraisal for every single thing, are you kidding me? Who do I know that may or may not know more about this stuff that's going to give me a written appraisal that's not in my name, because it can't be me. And then you have to pay that person every single time you do appraisal, and then that snare's gone, and then what? Then you got to replace it with something else. It doesn't make sense. So you have to have, periodically, you have to take video of everything, and I go through and I take photos of everything. As this particular date, this is how the drum room was. And then that binder is really the stuff that you hold on to.
Yeah.
Do you have any ballpark figure, and you don't have to say if you don't want to, a ballpark figure of the value of everything in that?
The value, not what I paid, the value?
Both, either or? Just
the value, well, I mean, what I paid, I got a spreadsheet with that, but the value, because my wife and I joke about this every once in a while, I think probably, as I'm looking away, looking around here, 225, yeah. 225,000, something like that, and the big chunk of that comes from the value of these Bell Bronze snares, right? Mm-hmm. So I'll give you an example, because people saw this drum at some point. I have two Bell Bronze snares from the 80s, the better of the two. They're both nice, but the better of the two. Okay, I got that probably 10 years ago, let's say. It was on eBay. It was listed on eBay for $5,000. Nobody was buying it. Today, it wouldn't last not even 10 seconds, right? But it was $5,000, and I was like, why is nobody buying this? That's more than I paid for my first one, but why is this one just sitting around? Nobody wanted it, so I reached out to the owner, and the owner actually lived one state over away here in Utah, in southern Utah, and he had a recording studio there, and also he had a recording studio here in Vegas, and he was selling it. And one of the things that makes me successful in finding what I find is I always ask one question. I say, what else do you have for sale? What else? You'd be amazed. That's the single most important question that people are not asking, is what else do you have for sale? Oh, well, then came the 8x14, what do you call it, a Tama Mastercraft snare, like it was made yesterday kind of condition. Beautiful snare. Okay, that's still kind of a modern, rare, not super rare, but desirable drum. And then there was the 6.5x14 Zildjian Noble and Cooley Bell Bronze snare. And then was the 12 lug sonar snare that I just mentioned, the Macassar Ebony snare. So that become a 4 snare bundle deal. He was willing to sell this stuff because I think he was leaving from Utah and focusing on Vegas only. So he wanted to sell all those 4 drums anyway. It's cheaper for me to buy it from him directly versus what I'm going to have to pay him on eBay, because that price, they always work in the seller fees. are always worked into the buyer's price. That's how everybody does it, right? And then you got tax, and then, you have to ship that. And then if he's going to do the same thing for the other 3 snares, if you sell it to the same person and you give him a good package deal on everything, I'm not going to say it was cheap, okay? Because the guy knew what he had, but it was less expensive. And being 10 years ago, it was a lot better time to buy that than now. I bought 4 drums from him. He drove to my house. I bought the snares, and he's happy. I'm happy. And that $5,000 snare today, what is it? 20,000, 25? I don't know. It's wrong what people are asking for these drums these days, I think.
Before we wrap up, you're also responsible for the Las Vegas drum show.
Yes.
5th year, is that right?
Yeah, it's a 5th annual show. It's going to be Sunday, March 29th, 2026. And everything is going great with the show. We have the clinician set. That's going to be Nick DiVirgilio. You've probably seen him on plays in bands. He was with Sweetwater for many years. Now he's with Gretsch. And he was at the show last year helping out in their booth. And Gretsch is going to be back. They're going to have a couple of 3 booths. And Nick's going to be there, and he's going to do the 1-hour clinic that has been recently kind of ironed out. And I was just emailing with them this morning about it. And, we're going to have some other meet and greets going on, raffle prizes, lots of exhibitors selling new, used, a lot of mom and pop brands, boutique brands, small custom shop type of brands. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be at the Tuscany Suites and Casino here in Las Vegas over by the Strip. And everything anybody could possibly need to know is on LasVegasDrumShow.com. They can find it on there. They can book a hotel for a cheaper rate. My email's on there if they have any questions. And yeah, it's going to be the 5th year show. I can't believe it's already 5 years.
So we like to ask our guests one final question before we leave.
Sure.
Who is your favorite delivery company? Your favorite courier service?
Courier service?
Yeah.
Like delivery company? Like if I'm accepting drums or shipping drums, or?
I mean, you can go with drums, or you can go with food, or just regular shopping.
Gosh. Well, I've had good and bad experiences with several of them. But I think as far as like cost wise these days, probably I think UPS is a little bit ahead of the game for stuff within the United States, right? If you go overseas, you probably have to use something like DHL, but probably that. But that was the same company that had an issue with one time. I received a beautiful 18-12-14 matching snare Gretsch kit in the mail. Savannah Sunset Duco, beautiful finish. The floor tom box arrives, and the floor tom legs, because he didn't keep them on the drum, the floor tom leg was sticking straight out of the box, like 6 inches. And I'm thinking, boy, what happened here? What type of number one is it's poor packing, number one. And then what happened along the way, I don't know. But like you're going to have that with everybody. If I'm sending a T-shirt, if I sell a T-shirt, drum show, drum room, the only way to do that is pretty much the U.S. Post Office. They have the better deal there, I guess. So it really depends on what you're shipping. But food service, I don't do a lot of delivery of food. That's the last thing I need is more food right now. So,
Rudy, thank you so much for your time, man. It's great seeing you again.
Yeah, likewise.
Thanks for chatting to us.
Yeah, thank you both very much. And if you ever come back to the room, you're more than welcome. Hopefully, you guys can come out to the show one day.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah,
we'll save up. Yeah.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah. What's your Instagram, just so people can find you on there as well?
Everything is either Las Vegas Drum Room or Las Vegas Drum Show. Facebook, Instagram, LasVegasDrumRoom.com, LasVegasDrumShow.com. I keep everything the same, so it's very easy to find. Yeah.
Awesome, Rudy. Thank you so much for your time, man.
All right. Thank you. All right, guys.
Hopefully
take care.
See you again soon.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
There we go. Viva Las Vegas, baby.
Viva Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Great. Fascinating.
Yeah.
I've got about 4 snares, I think, so he's beat me.
Yeah. I mean, it's such an incredible collection, as I've already said. And his knowledge of everything is just top notch as well. But if you're ever in Las Vegas, give Rudy a shout. Go and see his collection. Yeah. And if you're in, I mean, it's weird, isn't it, say to local area? I mean, I'm pretty sure America's so big, people travel large distances like it's nothing. But in March, he's got the Las Vegas drum show that he's puts on. So go and see that. Right,
He did say that. Can I just say, he was like, oh, there was a snare in the next state, in Utah. And that's close, It's like, we don't have, the next state for us is Scotland, you know what I mean? Anyway, carry on. So that wasn't that wasn't worthwhile, but it is interesting.
Yeah, I prefer your stuff you do about Yamaha specificas. And,
yeah. That wasn't a joke. That was just waffle.
A political satire.
Yeah.
Scotland are a state,
Yeah,
I mean, they are. Some of them are a state. Some of them.
Well, yeah.
Iron Brew and the drugs. Anyway, before in the intro we mentioned about me doing some drum covers. So I'm in no way pay. I am no way endorse. I'm just telling you what I use. So I found an app called Mute Drums. Right?
Oh yeah.
Because there's AI. I don't even know if it is AI, but that's the buzzword of the times. But being able to remove instruments, stem splitters, like I think Logic has a stem splitter built in. You've got things like Moises, things like that, where you can it can analyze the song, remove instruments, split them up into all the different components, things like that. No, it's great, but I wanted a really quick and easy way to just get rid of the drums, right? And I don't have Logic. Moises full version's quite expensive, but anyway, quick search. I found, because I did a Piffy Clyro song, Mountains, as a sort of test for the studio, and I just managed to find someone had already done it, and I found it on some really dodgy Russian website. But anyway, so there's this app called Mute Drums, and you have to buy credits, but they're pretty reasonable, really. You have 50 credits for 10 quid. That's one song per credit. And you basically, you don't even have to upload the song or anything. And this is probably breaking so many copyright laws.
Yeah.
You could just paste the YouTube link in to this app, and it analyzes the song, and then it just gives you 2 kind of volume dials, the track and the drums. And if you press them, it mutes them, or you can control the volume. You could also control the speed as well, change the speed of the song. So basically, I can be like, right, Fearless by President, YouTube, paste the link in, costs 1 credit, 20p or something like that. Analyze it. I can just mute the drums, and it's pretty darn effective. But then the beauty of it is you can just hit a button, export, and then you can save it straight to Dropbox. So it's pretty swift. And then I can in the studio, I can just pop that in into Pro Tools. I've got a template set up, pop that in, the drumless track. I can then just find the BPM and create a click track, and I can bounce that out, and I can just run that straight from my iPad into my in-ears, and then I can play along with a click track, but with the track with no drums. Because I think, as you'll bloody well know, when you're learning a song, and if you play along to it, when you're doing a wedding or a first dance, it's I don't have to be 100%. I just got to be 90, 95%. Get the right.
Generous for you, but yeah, carry on.
I got to get the right sort of stuff in there, But when you're playing and it's got the original drums in, it's just it can clash,
Yeah,
that sort of thing. So being able to hear the track without the drums, and then when you kind of then put your own little spin on it, you can. Does this make sense? You can
yeah, totally.
What would I do? What would I do to what I'm hearing? And treat it, because I do a lot of drumming for people. Here's a track, do it. And so you're working off what you've got, and this is a pretty cool way of being able to be kind of what would I do? What kind of works? And you don't have that clashing drums in the thing. But anyway, I'm working on my President drum cover, drum performance, but it's great fun, and I'm really enjoying that I can just go to my fucking garden and sit in a soundproof room. My kit's already set up, spiked up, get the in-ears, bosh, I can play, and that is really fun. You got anything,
fantastic.
boy?
No, I mean, I could go on from what I was saying about, just not promoting myself enough, but still doing all right. I'm more of a word of mouth cat, I think. Do you know what I mean? The way it should be, baby. But I was talking to Neil about it in the car, and he said exactly the same thing. He was like, I don't do it nearly enough. And he doesn't. If you look at Neil's Instagram, it's a fucking joke, to be honest. But nah, I'm only joking. But yeah, but it's that thing of, I know how beneficial it is when I do it. I always use the case in point of Tim Love, old Lover Boy. I messaged him once, said, hey, if you ever need a drummer, let me know. If not, don't worry, I'm not fussed, And he's like, yeah, cool. Here's all the gigs, And I went, oh, cool. If I do that with more people, then I'll get more work. It really is that simple. It's amazing I don't do it more. But the reason I don't do it more is because every week I'm like, fuck, I've got to learn another fucking new set for a new band,
Yeah.
So, but I was talking to Pat about it the other day, and he said, yeah, do it, because when you get to those months where there is a lull, you're ready because you've got stuff, or I don't know, Jan, Feb, if you can fill out Jan, Feb, then you're laughing, because then you got the whole year, baby. But yeah, but that's the ongoing goal. But I've said it for ages, I've had a website that I sort of half made. I put it up and went, that'll do, and then, but I'm like, no, I should go back and make it good and actually promote it. And the same with the Instagram and messaging people, just being like, hey, if you need a drummer. I was talking to Gabby about it. Anyway, I could bang on about it forever, but it's one of those things where it's like,
But also as well, when you curate your stuff, your stuff you're putting on, you obviously want it to be good. You want to do that. I know some people have accounts based on their mistakes, like, oh, I fucked this up, That's quite funny. But that clip I sent you of Travis Barker.
Did I watch it? What was it?
I think you reacted to it. It was him playing with like a DJ the other day.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, and you think, and he just does this fill that's rubbish. And you're like, don't put that bit up.
Yeah.
Watch it again. You'll see what I mean. But
no,
anyway,
this is the thing. I just say, but he doesn't post function gigs. And I don't do that either, because you don't want to be known as the function drummer. Do you know what I mean? It's like, there's so much I could post, but don't, because you don't want to pigeonhole. Anyway, that is enough.
That is enough. Let's get out of it. We've got plenty more guests coming up. Thanks again for listening. Thanks again to Rudy. We had a really good time.
Very good.
Recycle the joke.
Sort of doing what I did, but
yeah. I will often credit my influencer, so credit goes to George Pickering for that. And Yamaha Specifica. So if you ever use that, make sure you tag him in and credit him, because you people always credit the photographer and never the Neil. Oh, just one more story. Neil recorded a band, right?
You cut me off for rambling. Right, go on. What's your story?
He recorded a band and they released a single. Right, I think they did tag the Blacksmiths in it, so I'm being gauche for it on purpose here. And
great word.
And one of the members of the band got a tattoo of the name of the song on his leg, and was like, "Our bassist loved the song so much, he's got it tattooed on his leg." Credited the tattoo artist, didn't credit Neil.
Love it.
Neil said to me, he said, he wouldn't have got that tattoo if the mix was shit, would he?
Yeah, it's true.
So, there you go. Anyway, we will love you and leave you. drumanddrummerpod@gmail.com, at drumanddrummerpodcast on the Instagram, at Little Piggy Studios, at Winto, at George Pickering's Jokes. Puns with George the Pigeon Boy. I know you've got that account.
Pickering's Puns.
Pickering's Puns.
It, right?
Yeah. Go follow his dad, the real JP.
The real JP.
Yeah.
Real Jeff Pickering.
Sweet.
Come on, that's enough.
That is enough. Bye. Get right. Fuck off. Bye.
Thank you for listening to Drum and Drummer. You can find us on Instagram at Drum and Drummer Podcast. And you can send us an email to drumanddrummerpod@gmail.com. Remember, just pick up the sticks and twat it.